All right, I'm going to show you how to factor using the tic-tac-toe method. And really, this is kind of just like the grouping method, except you organize your information a little bit differently so that you're not writing all of the X's and you might not get confused with the parentheses. The one thing I don't like about tic-tac-toe is that you just have to remember the steps for it. But what you do, we know that when you are solving with algebra blocks, that the 3x squared and the negative 8, recall this is a positive quadrant and a negative quadrant, how the x tiles fit in here is a combination of the 3x squareds and the negative 8. Because like right here, I can slide 1, 2, 3, 4 x tiles in, and then across here, every 3 that you have is actually like 2 deep, all right? So I start by multiplying the 3 and the negative 8. And I just organize it in a little table. So I go 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. And then just like we did in the grouping method, and notice, I'll just show you, we did do 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. And then we list all the factor pairs of 24. So the things that multiply to 24 could be 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Once again, just bust out your calculator if you need to and do 24 divided by 2, 24 divided by 3, just 4 divided. And pick the ones that are potential candidates for adding up to that 10x. 10x is our target. We want to have 10 of these x tiles filling in and completing that rectangle. So I could have a positive 4x and a positive 6x. But if I have them all in that positive quadrant, there's no way I'm going to have the negative 8 and get a rectangle out of it. And if you look, 4 times 6 is a positive 24, not a negative 24. So it's not that combination. I could also get a positive 10 by taking negative 2 times 12. And that does multiply to negative 24. So in the tic-tac-toe, you put negative 2 and 12 in this column. It doesn't matter what order I put them in. I could have put 12 and negative 2. So basically, 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. Then, filling in the rest of this, you just need to make sure that it multiplies. Like this times this is negative 2, this times this is 12, this times this is 3, this times this is negative 8. And I like to start with like a prime number that only 1 and 3 multiply to 3. And I shouldn't put 3 and 1 because 3 times nothing is going to give me negative 2, or at least not an integer. So I'm going to go 1 and 3. And then I think 3 times 4 gives me 12. And 4 times negative 2 gives me negative 8. And 1 times negative 2 gives me negative 2. So then these are my x values. So one of my factors is 3x minus 2. The other factor is x plus 4. And this is the factored form. This here is the polynomial form. Okay, we talked about that as the reversible jacket. So it's exactly the same value. It just takes on 2 different looks. Polynomial form is adding the terms. Factored form is multiplying 2 binomials together. And if you look at the chart here, like if I did my multiplication, 3x times x, that's this column. 3x times 4, that's here. negative 2 times x, that's here, and negative 2 times 4 is here. So it does have that double distribution that you can see in the chart. Let's just do one more example. I won't draw the blocks for this one. I'll draw my tic-tac-toe, and it's a combination of the 12 and the negative 5, and 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. So once again, that's how we started the grouping one. We took 12 times negative 5 and we listed our factor pairs of 60. And feel free to bust out your calculator and say, okay, does 2 divide it? Yes, it does. Does 3 divide it? Absolutely. Does 4 divide it? Yep. Does 5 divide it? Yep. Does 6 divide it? Yep. Does 7? Nope. 8 doesn't, 9 doesn't, and then we're up to 10. So I'm looking for a pair of factors that will add to 17y. So these two add to 17 if I did like 5y and 12, but a positive 5 and a positive 12 don't multiply to a negative 60. So what if I did a negative 3 and a positive 20? Negative times a positive is a negative, and those two add to a positive 17. So I'm going to put negative 3 and a positive 20. Once again, I could put 20 and negative 3. Order doesn't matter there. Then pick one of your two prime numbers to work with. Like if I pick 3, 3 doesn't go into 5, but it does go into 12. So I'm going to put the 3 here. And if you have a negative, always put the negative in this column, because think about our factored form. This is the x column, and we don't want those leading coefficients to be negative numbers. So your negatives go in that second column. So if I did 5 times negative 1, that would give me negative 5. 3 times 4 gives me 12, and 4 times 5 is 20. So these are the x values, and then you kind of pair them up across. So one of my factors is 4x minus 1. That's this diagonal. And the other factor is 3x plus 5. So there is my factored form. And once again, I'll just show you 3x times, or 4x times 3x is this column here. If I distribute the 4x to the 5, that's this column. And then when I distribute the negative 1 times 3x and negative 1 times 5, that's here. So factored form, polynomial form.